Hello and welcome to Impact Africa, our online Bold Moves program where we get to have conversations with diverse people and organizations who are impacting lives positively. This is Mama K with you today, and this is a special series where we're focusing on women because it is Women's Month in South Africa. And in today's program, we're blessed to have a dynamic, very committed, hardworking gender specialist who does a lot of work around Africa, Mrs Madeline Mkunu, who is the founder of, let me get it right, Leading Women of Africa, which is a non-profit organization based in Cape Town, but does a lot of work around Africa. So my sister, how are you?
I am good. I am good. Thank you so much for having me.
It is a pleasure. It is a pleasure. So I know you're from Congo, and I want to share, you to share with us your experience of growing up in Congo and your life in Congo.
Interesting. Thank you so much. Though I've been in South Africa for the past 27 years, yes, I was born in Congo and raised in Congo. I was...
Which part in Congo?
In Kinshasa.
In Kinshasa.
In Kinshasa, yes. Coming from a political family.
Right.
And I'm almost the child before last. In a big family.
You're very big.
Yeah,
10,
big
11, 9.
10.
Wow.
Of 10.
African family, I'm the same.
Exactly. Yeah. So.
Okay.
And being really the smallest or the youngest, I think I would just say that our African cultures. I grew up to be more submissive because you have big brothers and big sisters that you have to respect and uncles and aunties and so I think that is really my upbringing. But if I can remember one thing that because our father passed away actually, I did not really know my father because he died when I was still very young. And but we were raised by our big brother, who was actually a politician back then. And he kept telling us, especially girls, that you need to go to school. You need to study. Because you know what? One day you will remember this, and one day you will not be dependent of anyone. And I think I will continue to be grateful for that.
That is such. So that's your big brother who gave you those wise words when growing up.
Exactly.
So how did you get to Cape Town? You said 27 years.
27
why?
years. So
and why Cape Town?
I came for study purposes. To pursue my studies. And so sometimes you don't know where the future will lead you. Then when I came here, I met my husband.
Oh, you guys met here?
So we met here.
Is it from Congo as well?
Yes. Then we got married. And so it's like,
this
is now home. So I've been actually living longer in South Africa than in DRC.
I can imagine. Wow, that's interesting. So obviously your adult life has been more here.
Yes, my professional and adult life has been here. Yeah.
So what did you study?
I started with accounting. Then I worked as accountant for some times. Then, not for some times, actually for a long time. I worked as accountant here in Cape Town for 10 years.
Wow, so that's a long time.
That is a long time, so it's not just sometimes. But then, sometimes when you have that little girl's dream, where I thought, you know what, I'm actually bigger than this, bigger than just, receiving a paycheck at the end of the month. So I decided, you know what, diverting myself into something new, and that was actually the unknown, and that was actually part of that little girl's dream that I had for Africa. And I went back to school and did my post-degree in development studies. And then from there I completed my MBA as well, and master's in management in Europe.
So you love studying then. that
Yeah.
tip your brother gave you.
He gave me.
It's been behind your brain. You're like,
It
okay,
has
let
me
me keep
whenever
starting.
you have
Let
the
me keep
opportunity.
developing.
Yeah, because you think, okay, I'm diverting. I'm leaving accounting. I'm leaving all this. I'm diverting into something that I
Yes.
don't know, into a, you know, I wanted really, my little girl's dream has always been to see African women, because, you know, back then you will look at pictures, maybe we didn't have really TV and all that, but you look at pictures of African women, it's always, you know, the face of poverty as we know it. And I was like, you know what, when I grow up, I want to change. I want to change the face of women. And that has been hunting me, you know, but obviously as a young woman, it's like, you know, you want to be professional and you want to earn a living, you want to make money and all that. So I've done my, completing my first degree, and I'm like, you know what, I need to go on a job market. You need to actually make money, but that small dream is still following you, is still hunting you. And until you go to a point, it's like, okay, yes, I have a paycheck at the end of the month, but you feel like you don't feel fulfilled. You know, and that fulfillment, I think that's what really was hunting me. It's like, but I've got a job. So many people are looking for a job. I've got one. I'm married. You know, and what
You've
more?
ticked all the boxes.
But you, then you feel no. You have a much bigger purpose than just this. And 10 years ago, I decided, okay, let me try to explore that purpose. And that's how I started leading Women of Africa, actually.
All right. So what year was that? 10 years ago, it's like...
it's actually 12 years ago.
12 years ago,
Yeah, in 2008.
Okay.
And so that when, and it was just a vision, just like, you know what, my vision has always been to see women of Africa first united and to see what we can do together. You know, and because I see Africa, as much as we are, we have 55 countries, you know, but we share one piece of land. And I'm like, we should be together. We should be working together. And growing up in South Africa, I could see that we are divided. You know, it's like we don't know our next door neighbor, you know, Zim and all that. And Africa is so big. And, you know, with now technology, you start learning so much about your continent, you know, and after development studies, it's like an eye-opener. It's like, wow, there's so much in Africa, and so much that, you know, poverty should not be in Africa. And that was really the motivation behind leading Women of Africa. And when you look at the stories of women on the continent, the potential that they have, when we look at entrepreneurship, it's actually mostly driven by women. And I say, you know what, and as we know, the research is showing that when women are economically empowered, they empower their families, their children. The children go to school. The children have a better upbringing, and you know, all that actually just allowed me to grow that passion that I had.
Wow,
and
well
that's how
done for
Women of
all
Africa
you're
was
doing. So, with the Leading Women in Africa, what are some of your projects, specific projects that you do?
So, when we started, I think the main idea was first, number one, to see that we are integrated, that women come together. Okay, and so it was first to really go around Africa and to say, you know what, let's work together. So promoting that unity was our first mission, and we've done quite a number of kind of events and all that together with other women from other parts of Africa. The number two was economic empowerment. As I said, that you will look at the potential of Women of Africa in terms of entrepreneurship, entrepreneurship being driven by women. And we thought, you know what, and Africa has so much to offer in terms of opportunities. And how do we try to connect the opportunities and women? And we engage in a series of trade missions, women-only trade missions around Africa. And thanks to a Department of Trade and Industry who was supporting us from South Africa, especially, you know, where we could have a number of trade missions around the continent: Nigeria, Ghana, Ethiopia, Tanzania, Zambia, Mozambique, our SADC and all that, Congo, Brazzaville. We've been to Kinshasa as well, you know. So And that was the aim. The aim it was to actually see how can women, as from South Africa, can start creating business linkages with other women in Africa, because there's so much across the continent. And that was really our flagship project that we've been running for the past few years, really, and until COVID came, obviously, as we know.
We'll touch on that later.
About that. So, yeah.
Wow. So I will stop for a break just now while we see some photos and some of your journey so far. So we'll be right back. Madam Madelein, wow, you guys have been doing a lot. So what are some of the success stories? Maybe one success story you want to share with us?
There are actually many.
Just one.
There are really many, but
I'm sure there are many.
I will try to share one. And I think the one that I would like to say from a Pan-African point of view is actually to allow women of Africa to integrate, to work together. For me, that Leading Women was one of the first organizations that actually thought that African women need to work together. And for me, to see now women from South Africa are trading with other women in other countries, are doing business together, are going into JV, for me, that is the biggest success from the Pan-African point of view. And we can see that more and more organizations now start focusing on inter-African trade, inter-African collaboration and all that. But we were one of the first Pan-African women organizations that really had that Pan-African vision of saying that we need to integrate, we need to do business together, we need to actually share what is available in different countries. I think overall, that is our overall success. Though there are individual success that you can name here and there, that women, hey, these women are doing trade with another woman from Ghana, or products that are going around Africa through our members and all that. That's
well done. So
nameless.
What does success mean to you? What is your definition of what success is?
Quite interesting, yes. And I definitely agree that the word success is means different things to different people. And for me, success actually means to be fulfilled. I believe that every individual is born for a purpose and with a purpose. I want to be able to say one day when I pass on that I've left a legacy, that I've fulfilled my goals, that I've fulfilled my purpose on earth, because as we know, we're not eternal on earth.
Nope.
We're going to pass one day. And for me, success is not material. Yes, we need to live, we need to, you know, but I wouldn't define that as success. I want to define success as, am I fulfilled? When I look back, have I achieved something? It might not be big, because I mean, Africa being Africa, we might have a big vision, and I do have a big vision, but sometimes you can't wait until that big vision be fulfilled. You will look at those small impacts that you are having, and that for me, I classify as my success. I haven't reached though. I wouldn't say that.
You've still got yourself a gradual and a journey.
You will see many of my documentation, I use stairs.
Right.
Because I always say,
So
you know
you're
what,
climbing
it's
one
like
step.
we climb one step at a time,
Mm.
and all that. And
Wow.
that's really for me success.
So well done, you know, like I keep saying, for all you're doing, because sometimes it's not easy. And as a woman and, you know, fighting all these battles sometimes. And I'm sure along the way, you know, along the time that you're climbing one step, you know, at a time, what are some of the challenges, you know, that you faced, you know, with your LWA, Leading Women of Africa, if there's any? Unless it's been smooth raining.
Oh my
So,
God. I wish, I'm sure like everyone else.
Yes,
We
yes.
wish that life was easy. We wish that life in Africa especially, we wish it was easy. But some of the challenges that we really face, for me as a leader in this movement, is actually to see that a lot of us as women, we don't realize our potential. For me, that is a challenge, because you would try to explain the vision, the mission, what we are all to be doing as women. We are called to contribute in job creation. We don't want to continue seeing our young people dying in Mediterranean because they're looking for green pastures. And, you know, our economy is being the way it is, while we have the potential to contribute in the economic growth of our different countries, of our continent. But sometimes we are complacent.
Yeah.
I think we are. And for me, I think that is one of the challenges, because sometimes there's misunderstanding and all that. You know, we need to focus, ladies. And another challenge is being in Africa is always resource limitations. You know, we have big visions, and, you know, I'm so proud of women of Africa. I'm so proud of the potential that we do have. But sometimes the challenges that we always face is limited resources, which we shouldn't be having. You know, considering the wealth, the natural wealth that Africa has been blessed with. And when we see that, you know what, we're so limited. And, you know, I would like to achieve this, but I'm so limited. And especially when you go in some part of Africa, and even now I was in DRC for some business missions, and you should see the needs. And like, I really wish I could do more. You know, I think that is one of the major challenges.
So what motivates you as a person with you being able to wake up every day and, you know, do this work in terms of gender and, you know, working with different people? What motivates you?
Do you think we are always motivated in the morning? No. Not always. There are times where you wake up, it's like, Lord, I just want to give up this.
I know, right?
Because it's so hard, it's so challenging. I just want to, you know what, I could go back. I have my degrees, I could get a job. You know, and just
sit and
continue,
9 to 5 or 8
you know,
to 5
9 to 5 and all that. But I think what motivates me in the morning, it's knowing that I am fulfilling my purpose. I'm fulfilling my calling. You know, so I think that is actually something that I cannot buy, I cannot trade. You know, it's just like, hey, you know, I'm being fulfilled by what I'm doing, no matter how small return I'm getting, you know, but the fulfillment dominates everything. And I think for me that is a motivation. But also just God motivating you every day. It's like, hey, you are on my fields, you know, working. You know,
what is in your hand? Go do something.
You know, just do with what you have. I think for me that's really what I would say is my motivation.
That's deep. So, how would your husband or your son or your brother describe you? What kind of person is you? I know a lot of people are shy to, you know, say what kind of person they are. So that's why I'm asking. What kind of a person would your family say you are?
Well, yeah, you know, every Mother's Day and every one day and every birthday you get all these compliments. And not only on those special occasions where you are being said, you know what, you are driven. You are a purposeful woman.
Okay.
You are a visionary, you know, and you get to hear all these words from your family, from my husband, from my children, you know, and it's like, okay, so maybe they are seeing what I am doing, and sometimes it could be tough, and sometimes, you know, I work those long hours, as you know, when you work for yourself and you work for a vision that you actually yourself have to provide resources for. You work long hours, you know, and sometimes they complain, and sometimes I don't expect those good words at those moments. It's like, you know, because sometimes you make them suffer. And, you know, in this kind of work, I move quite a lot. I travel quite a lot. And, you know, you really don't expect that they will say that, you know, our mom is actually working to fulfill something for herself, and we're so proud of her. But when you hear that, it's like, wow, okay. No, thank you.
Wow.
And I just hope the world is also noticing that.
I'm
Though
sure
I don't want a pat on the shoulder.
No,
I think it's too early.
Yeah.
It's really too early. I think I have not achieved not even 10% of what I would have loved to achieve.
I think you have.
But yeah.
You're being hard on yourself. I think you've achieved more than 50 or 60%.
Like every woman, we tend to be hard on ourselves,
yeah, but
right?
I think even 80, from what I know. I'll say 80, because I don't know what some of your goals are.
Yes.
I believe from what I've seen and what I've known of you and what I've read, you're up there already. And other people are looking at you, you know.
No, thank you so much. But I think we still have more goals to achieve.
Women, eh?
Yeah.
Anyway, we stop there and we'll be right back. So, my sister, in your view, we've spoken about leading women of Africa. We've spoken, you know, about yourself. Now let's go to South Africa and Africa, even Congo and other places. In your view, with some of the challenges, you know, that we're, you know, aware of. I normally don't like talking about the problems because I know they're there, and we could spend energy, you know, from unemployment, poverty, xenophobia, racism, you know, health, you know, issues and so on. What would you recommend as solutions, you know, to some of this problem? Even if it's not visible, in an ideal world, you know, what would you recommend, you know, as solutions to some of this problems, either for us being in South Africa or for us as a continent of Africa, or even, you know, DRC where you're from? So anyone, I just want to hear solutions. What would you say could be solutions to you could pick anything you want to pick on?
Right. I think that actually motivates us. I think that is another motivation that we always wake up in the morning, because we want to be part of the solutions on the continent. And again, allow me to actually bring the aspect of women. I believe that one of the solutions for the continent, let me just talk first from the Pan-African view, is we need more visionary leaders. That is number one. Because every country in Africa is blessed with natural resources. But I think the distribution of wealth in Africa is not equitable. And I think that's why we are noticing more and more poverty. So if we can have leaders that, visionary leaders, that could say that, you know what, we are blessed with so much, we have so many people, how can every single of my people can benefit from this wealth? Number two is women's leadership.
Right.
We sincerely believe that women are born with a set of leadership skills that could change the face of our continent. My mission, and I think that's why I say I have not even achieved my mission, because women's leadership is something that we have started basically driving it as programs. So we have a leadership institute that we have just established that will focus
here in Cape Town.
Here in Cape Town, yes, and that will really focus on raising more African leaders, more visionary African leaders that will actually think of leaving a better legacy for the next generation. That number two. Number three, where I sincerely believe, is women's rising up as economic drivers of this continent. And there again, we are also driving there by setting up now women-owned and driven companies around the continent, where women are investors, and women are driving those. And we need to get to a point where we say, you know what, we are tired of AIDS. We are tired of, putting our hand up and say, help me, help me, help me. That has perpetuated not only from country level, but up to individual level, where we think our help will only come from someone else, only from outside. So we are trying to bring a bit of change of mind and say, you know what, the change that we are looking for will be driven by ourselves. If we continue to wait that Africa will be, change will come from elsewhere, we will continue to wait. Just imagine Africa, if we can just take the average, we've been independent for over 60 years.
Yeah.
And for 60 years, for other countries who have been independent, they are more advanced than Africa. And I wouldn't say I know the reasons, but I think one of the reasons could be because we are thinking that Africa will be developed by someone else.
Yeah, we're
waiting. We're still waiting, and I think we're still in that state of waiting. So my mission now is to say, you know what, we can no longer wait. We can no longer wait for anybody else. Ladies, you know what, we can actually create jobs and contribute in the economic development of our respective countries, wherever we are. So we start encouraging more women to create, to become entrepreneurs, but really formal entrepreneurship that could create jobs. Because when you start doing something by yourself, that's when partners will say, hey, I want to partner with you. Hey, I want to come invest with you. But when you start thinking, you have a vision, you have ideas, and you're still sitting on it, thinking that only when I have millions I will do it, it will never happen. So that is really my next mission over the next 5 to 10 years, is to make sure that more women companies arise, and they are driven, and they are successful, and they are profitable, and they create jobs and contribute in the economy of the continent. And there we don't need actually other countries. Just in Africa, there's so many opportunities that women can tap into. But we know the challenges. There are skills shortage, there are, resources and all that. And in terms of resources, we have a model that we're working on, and we're hoping that, maybe when we mature in that model, we're going to share, the experience and all that. We have a model that we're working on. Actually, we started right here in South Africa. And I went actually to DRC to replicate the model there. And hopefully we're looking at other countries that will follow. And already the model is working. The women are coming together, and we are pushing, and we are exploring where are the opportunities, because we are sitting on the opportunities, ladies. They are there. We just need to open our eyes. Where is the money? Ladies, we are sitting on money. We just have to open our eyes where the money is sitting, but we need to be organized. Because yes, money can be there, yes, opportunities can be there, until we women are organized and we create really sustainable model, we're not going to reach there. But I think we will, if we really just can start coming together and identify those opportunities and the money for us to push.
Wow, I could go on and on and on. I've really enjoyed, this conversation, and I've really, appreciated you sharing your story and some of your vision and mission and your work, that you've done. This model, I just don't want to conclude with that. I know you said you don't want to share it yet or want
Not
to
in
say
detail.
anything. So, but it is something, if it's already working in DRC, is it something you're
In
going to
South
bring to
Africa.
South Africa?
No, in
or
South
you've brought
Africa. It
already?
started in
Oh, it
South
started in
Africa.
South Africa.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I just want to check.
Yeah, 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay, so it started
Yeah.
in South Africa
Yeah.
and you've taken it to DRC. And then the
Exactly.
plan is to start creating, that model in
Women
other
owned,
African.
yeah. So it's basically women owned companies.
Okay,
Okay, where women are driving it.
right.
And we
Awesome.
try to find ways the money. We try to negotiate where are the opportunities.
stakeholders.
Because there are some opportunities that are there, but the doors are closed for women.
Yeah.
So we need to knock those doors and say we are here.
Yeah.
We are all, economic agents, and we want to play a role in job creation
Wow.
and economic development of our countries, and that's exactly what we are doing. So we're knocking doors and say, we here as women, we are organized, and we want to see the opportunities that are there. Do you have money? We can find money. You give us the opportunity first.
Opportunity. Wow.
So that is a simple model that we are using.
Very simple, but I'm sure it's working. It's
It's
working,
a
like
lot
you
of
said.
work behind the
It's
scenes.
working,
It's a lot of
Right.
work, a lot of
Okay.
settings, and a lot of work.
Well done. So, in closing, is there any advice or tips or anything you want to give our women or anyone, out there in closing? If you
There's actually few things that I always like to share with my fellow sisters on the continent. I always have 3 recommendations, and I'm actually pushing that one day they can be part of some policies around the continent. I would like to encourage women 3 things, 3 recommendations. Number 1, we need to become producers and not only consumers. We consume everything, but we produce so little. Let's be producers. Africa has given us so much raw material. What can we produce that we can consume? Clothes, bags, shoes, and all that. Let's have more products coming from Africa, and let trade within ourselves. That's number 1. With the free African trade agreement, I'm believing that more and more products from Africa could actually exchange hands, could move from country to country. So that number 1, let's become producers of various products that we consume in Africa, whether it's food, whether it's clothing, whether it's whatever we consume. We know what we consume. Even technology today, why can't we become producers of some technology devices or products that we are consuming and not always importing? Number 2, let's become strategic consumers. And I feel so much energy when I explain that. You know what? It's always said that when you empower a woman economically, you empower a nation. You empower her family, and not only her family, her community and all that. When we go shop, and that has to do with who do we shop from, where do we shop. When I go shop, I always try to make sure that I empower a woman, because I know if I shop from this woman, she will go put food on the table for her children. That I start becoming strategic consumer. I start choosing where do I shop. That is the 2nd recommendation. The 3rd recommendation, let's become investors. Because we are now working not only for ourselves, but also for the next generation. And that will happen only when we start investing, so that one day we can leave something for our children and our grandchildren, and maybe possibly our great-grandchildren. And I think those are 3 recommendations. Honestly, it's part of my talks all the time. talks part of my presentation wherever I go to a conference. We need to be real. We need to recommend something that will change the face of our continent. And nobody will come change the face of the continent but us. And us as women, we have that potential to actually change this continent. Let's rise up like mothers and let's change Africa. Thank you.
Wow. Wow, I'm just writing and writing. I can't even keep up with some of what you've said. It has been an honor and a great pleasure, to be here. And well done, for all you're doing in the community, for the women, for the children, by the women, and our young girls, to come as well. And don't be too hard on yourself.
Thank you.
You've done so much. And what you're going to do, like you said, I think it's still a top up, of what you're doing. And you need to spend, I'm saying this to you, but I'm saying to myself as well, because you were saying some of those things there about family. So you need to invest in your family too, so they don't lose out. You need to find the time, to spend with them, because what you're doing, you've already created it and it's coming along and is impacting lives. But they need you probably more now, as you grow. So that's my own tip, for you at this session. So thank you. And we wish leading women of Africa all the very best, as you continue to impact lives positively in South Africa and across the continent. And we shall keep following you. If you don't mind, we'll come back again and continue with more conversation at a later date for whatever, just to see what else you can share, or to go through tips, various tips as well. And I particularly like what you said about the visionary leaders. We need more of them, and the recommendation you made at the end about becoming producers, becoming strategic consumers, and becoming investors. That is deep. So it's been an honor and a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mama K, for having me.
It's a pleasure. Well, that's it, guys. This is Mama K signing off. It has been a rewarding time, for me, and I hope, for you as well, that you've been inspired and you've been encouraged, especially for our women and our girls, because we need our girls to have role models, like my dear sister here, who is doing so much, who had a dream, and decided to go for it. And yes, the money or whatever else might not be there, but the lives, she's impacting, as she said, she's making her feel fulfilled. So till next time, stay safe, stay blessed. God bless you. Remember, God is love. Love you guys. Thank you.